Welcome back to NewsMakers. We are with Ali Jones, David Lynch and Paul Lonsdale. Just quickly an update on the state of these beleaguered businesses. Well, they claim they're beleaguered because of the earthquake, and they are demanding the government to intervene and offer the likes of the reinstatement of the wage subsidy, cash handouts to employees and so forth. You were at the meeting this morning that was at CPIT. Any impressions?
Well, look, there's some obviously some good issues raised, but what we have to remember, it's not just a quake. We've actually had a triple whammy: the global recession, the personal credit crisis, the earthquake, and all those things added together has just seriously dropped consumer confidence. So you've got it. We can't allow a whole lot of businesses to fall over. It's how we manage that process. Some we're probably going to fall over anyway. But there will be businesses out there that have good business models that may well have been seriously affected by the earthquake due to cordons and so forth. They need to look at those at a case-by-case scenario. Obviously, it would be worse to have a whole lot of those people go under and you've got a lot of people sitting on the dole. An unemployed person to the taxpayer, $58,000 a year, and that's a lot of money if you start adding it up.
Yes. I suppose this is the big unknown. Once Christmas has been and gone, how many Christchurch businesses are going to be shut up and are we going to see mass layoffs post-Christmas? This seems to be a scary question.
One of the issues is, and I'm listening to Paul, I don't want to come into the inner city. You know, it's really basic. It's get me and my family and my friends to come into the inner city.
What will woo you?
Well, and that's what I'm thinking about. I think that's the question you need to be asking. And sorry, with all due respect, I know you know what you're doing, but it's just that there are members of the public, they're the people that you want in there, but there's no reason for us to go in there. And I just wonder whether you're speaking to the right people and getting the right answers. You know, horse-drawn tram's great and interesting, but I still don't know whether that's going to be the thing that would get me into the inner city,
I think you've touched on a couple of points. That access and parking is really important. So getting clear access, because the shopping experience begins and ends with the car park. And there is a perception out there that it's hard to navigate our car parks.
Well,
and
it's not a perception, though. It's true.
Well, you go to any mall, though. Every single mall, the convenient factors about the mall have all gone. You can't just park at the front of the mall. They're all multi-level car parks.
Yeah, but I know I can get a park.
Well, you can't. You go into a mall right now, and I would challenge you to find a car park within half an hour.
Most suburban mall car parks would have men in white coats out now, wouldn't they? Marshalling traffic?
Yes, yeah, and in fact they did it at Richter Market last Sunday, and thumbs up to them, they did a really good job of getting... See, there's another one.
You want men in white coats in the central city.
But it also depends on what you want, how you want to be as a person. I mean, if you like going to controlled environments where everything is done for you, that's great.
I hate malls.
Well, there we go. It also, you have to look at the fashion element. You will not get designer fashion in the shopping centre. You will get the standard...
Mass-produced.
How many people go into the city or go shopping for designer fashion, though?
Well, they do particularly well. Some of the stores particularly well.
All right, back to the beleaguered businesses and the government's call to intervene. David, do you think Jerry Brownlee is on the case here, or is he out to lunch?
Look, I think they're all doing their best. I mean, this is new territory for us all. Good on Nikki for coming out and saying what she said. Possibly could have pitched it slightly differently. Nikki Wagner. Good on Clayton for challenging it, and good on them all for what they've been doing with their communications. But yeah, again, I have to say, as Paul's indicated, where were many of these businesses prior to the earthquake, and they were just hanging on. And it's going to be devastating in the new year to see, in fact, if not before, what the situation is with many of them. So again, I think there's a lot more to happen yet. That's not going to be very pleasant for us all, really.
Very good. I wanted you to finish your sentence. Very good. Sorry, rudely interrupted. Two words out from the full stop. Now, I suppose it's a reminder that there does still seem to be rather strained inter-council relations between the City Council and ECAN. The Regional Civil Defence draft report has caused a bit of a fuss in the media over some comments about Mayor Bob Parker and his rolling media appearances. Did it heighten the state of crisis, not just in our eyes, but the world's eyes? And do a lot of people around the world actually think Christchurch is levelled with not a hotel room to find? What do we think?
Interestingly, this morning I sat around with a group of colleagues and we were talking about this very issue, and overwhelmingly everyone said that it was unfair on Bob Parker, that he did a great job, particularly in the first couple of weeks, 10 days.
Yep.
But after that, perhaps there was a sense of my goodness, he's everywhere. I think we're kind of over it now. I also had a discussion with someone in another council in Canterbury region, regional council. See, I told you, I'll read my statement. And they said that they were surprised that the mayor was taking such taking the position and leading the media and being out front the whole time. Where was the city manager? Where was the CEO? And should some of the work that they were doing with the media not have gone? Yeah, absolutely. Look, I think he did a good job. I was over the high-vis jacket. I also think that voters were let down because it was used as an excuse for not electioneering, and we deserve better than that. So there are a couple of issues there.
David.
Yeah, look, I agree with everything Ali said. I think the difficulty that Bob had is what he didn't do on the morning of the earthquake, and that was to get on the phone and talk to his councillors and get them around the table as soon as he established that their homes were okay. Instead, Bob felt it was acceptable to have his other councillors turn up at media briefings at 4 o'clock to find out what was going on. So from that point, his approach, or whoever was advising him, that was seriously flawed. And as to the report that went before ECAN, the City Council weren't even at the meeting on Monday. It's been politicised. I think that's very unfortunate.
All right.
And I think we need to have this sort of analysis.
From a CBD perspective, you would consider Bob Parker a huge success story, right?
Well, look, I only go from my experience. I was on the ground day one after the earthquake.
Yeah.
I was in there very early in the morning till later in the afternoon, coming home, writing my reports, getting out to our members so they were getting specific information for their things, because I realised that if we didn't get the city open quickly, we would lose our customers' confidence further. We've got to remember it's globally the fifth most costly disaster, so it was never going to be a small disaster. It was the most costly disaster in New Zealand.
In terms of the distorted state of crisis, to quote the Civil Defence draft report, do you think the television crews, in hindsight, should not have been allowed to base themselves with their live eyes outside West End Jewellers?
Totally agree. That building came down about 150 times in a month. And that's the one they saw the bricks getting shoveled up.
That was Christchurch.
And you can't blame the council for that. That's the media. And I'm sorry, but you're obviously part of the media, but that's what they did. They were reporting, but they were reporting from a particular view of the city.
Right. You've got to look at who should have been in control. The Civil Defence Controller, where were they? They should have been having some control over where the media were and weren't allowed to go. It was a perfect backdrop for Bob, especially the explosion of the...
oh, yes.
I mean, dramatic stuff. I mean,
with the fire and so forth.
And now, in fact, Christchurch Canterbury Tourism themselves have identified the significant damage, the continued messages that Christchurch was destroyed was putting out there.
Well, interestingly, no one else was allowed on that corner. The public could not walk around that corner. It was only the TV crews that were allowed there. I just wonder why they were not given marching orders for the sake of our perception.
Yeah, but you've got to look at where TVNZ is as well, and so there was a close proximity to TVNZ studios, and that was probably the closest, best corner for doing livers from, in close proximity to the office.
But the CBD was up, 98% of the CBD was up and running within 2 weeks. After a magnitude quake of that size.
Yeah.
And you also remember that the other quakes that have happened, Port-au-Prince, and you got Haiti.
Yes.
Everybody realised that a 7-point magnitude earthquake causes massive destruction. So whose job was it to get that media message out there that we aren't flattened? Is it the regional tourist operations that should have done a better job?
Yeah, OK. We'll take a break. Coming up, Sonny Bill Williams and who is New Zealander of the Year. Do stay with us.